Hello, Bedrock Nation. This is Joe DiChiara coming to you live from downtown Flushing, New York. And I am glad to be back. I took a 1 week limbo hiatus. If you didn't hear, I was down for the count. Not completely down for the count, but pretty banged up after about a month of intensive marketing, thanks to Haley Gray and Jenny Wright, my new best friends. And long story short, and I said this, self-care is important. I'm with the woman for over 10 years, and she says, healthy number one. If you can't stay healthy, how can you run your business? And I have a lot of friends in the, what do they call it, the care business, the caregiver business. And in fact, one of my friends, Dave Nasani, is an actual national authority on caregiving. And the fact is that caregivers get, a lot of them, what he says, die before the people that they're giving care to, because what happens? We take care of somebody else, and we don't take care of ourselves. And in this case, the person I was trying to take care of was you, basically. I was trying to provide, to give 200% in this effort, really to spread awareness about why businesses really fail and what we need to do to stop that. And if you're watching this live, I would appreciate if you did a hashtag live, and if you're watching the replay, do a hashtag replay, just so that I could keep tabs on you and see who's actually paying attention. And I didn't plan on talking about self-care and that, but it is part of one of those obstacles that keeps us from succeeding. Now, I was able to, fulfill all of my obligations. I wasn't, bedridden. I was just physically worn out, and actually had a touch of the flu, which I didn't even realize. I thought it was just stress and overwork. But one of my principles, if you've been following me, I have 13 principles that I follow, trying to follow religiously. And one of them is to get rest. That's the 12th principle. I have 13 of them. And, so I'm going to start following my own advice, even though it's the middle of tax season, and, business is good. And, this is what we need to do to start, build, and manage our own businesses. we don't get sick days. Once you go into business, you don't get a sick day. Now, you may be in business and still have a job, which is becoming normal nowadays. A lot of people work full time and start a little side gig, and that's fine. That's probably the best way to go into business. You start off slow, don't quit your day job, test the waters little by slowly, and this is what happens. Little by little, you're gonna figure it out, and then you'll forget like I do. And that's why another principle is what we call the mastermind principle. And you got to surround yourself, not just you, me. I have to do this. Just like everyone else, I have to surround myself with people that keep me on track. And so for today's topic, what I'd like to cover is 5 of the first steps that everyone should take before spending a lot of time and money. One of my mentors, Larry Broughton, and now his sidekick, Dave Braun, who are giants in the business industry, and they mentor people for unbelievably low prices. If you go, and this is an unsolicited plug for Larry, if you go to sorry about this, Larry, ugozi.com, I'll post a link to it. There is a link in the group. But, and I lost track of what I was saying, but Larry is one of the people that I follow. Larry talks about the mastermind principle. And I just remembered why I brought up Larry, because Larry is famous for telling people they're gonna fail. And I told Larry this, I hated when he said that, because I felt like we should be encouraging people to go into business and not talk about the failures, but the ability to succeed. And when I looked at my own business, I failed thousands of times, and I'll still keep failing. And failing doesn't mean I'm a failure. What we mean by failing is you're going to try something in your business, and 99.9% of the time, it isn't going to work. It's not going to work the way you planned on it. But you take that 0.1% of the part that did work, and you do it 999 times, because there is a science to this. You do it 1,000 times, and then you might have something. If you understand that, the arithmetic, because it is a science. And if you have an idea for a business that's authentic, that maybe serves people, you could turn anything into a business today. I'm broadcasting to the world right now. This was a fantasy 20 years ago for most people. And today it's a reality. In a couple of seconds, I can connect to people instantly for free. Now, and I've said this before, I don't care if you want to chase butterflies in the freaking desert. If that's what your dream is, I could show you how to monetize that, because kids are making money in businesses online by sharing knowledge, information, and a lot of them start making money by accident. There are kids on YouTube that are making a fortune, not by design, by maybe it was by design, but sometimes, you create the next pet rock. And all of a sudden, you got somebody with the business. So let's get into, my lesson for today. And part of it is going to be from my new business startup checklist, which was a guide that I put together about a year ago because people were asking for it. They said, I wish that I had a checklist. And I'm looking around and there were none. There were no real business startup checklist. Not that fit with what I've learned about starting a business. So before I get into the checklist, I think the way to start is with what your intentions are. My friend Jenny Wright, she started a list build challenge by talking about clarity. What does having clarity have to do with building a list? Well, think about this. If you know what kind of list you want, if you know who your target audience is, if you know what content they want to absorb, well, then you're going to build a much better list. And I'm not a stupid guy. I'm pretty smart. And believe it or not, I couldn't put this together because I'm not a marketing guy. So what's interesting about this is Jenny's an expert in list building, but it was the same formula. It's the same formula when you approach anything, not just in business, but in life. When you think about it, so many people, Dr. Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. We can do quotes forever, but I like the analogy of a vacation because most people put more time and effort into planning a vacation than they do their own lives and definitely their own businesses. Think about it. If you're going to Hawaii for 2 weeks, you're going to make sure that every day is packed with fun and adventure. You're going to know where you're going to stay. You're going to know how much it is. You're going to plan on, what kind of car. Are you going to need a car? Are there events going on? Do you want to meet people? I mean, all of those little details that go into planning a vacation are the same sort of thought and effort that should go into your business. Now, there are what I call the accidental entrepreneurs, the kids that just start making money, the people that just find themselves in business out of circumstances beyond their control, corporate downsizing. You don't have a choice. You lose a job when you're 55, 60 years old. There's not always a lot of options. And a lot of those people become salespeople, which in effect is a business, believe it or not. If you're in sales, you're in business. Now, you could be an employee in sales, and then you got a big company behind you, and they have all the back office stuff, and then all you got to do is sell. And then there's people that are independent salespeople, insurance brokers. Okay, they are in business. And the ones that succeed realize they're in business, and they have to incorporate things like time management and, what are they selling? All it's the same formula, folks. And that's what I keep trying to teach people. Business is complicated, confusing, and overwhelming. But when you can boil everything down to the lowest common denominators and implement that into all the facets of your business, then you start creating a business, a system, a business model. And you can't build a model without knowing what it's supposed to look like at the end. Now, if you're a man and if you've raised children and you've had Christmases or birthdays and you got the bicycle or the tree house or whatever you had to put together, I don't know about you, but I'm one of the guys that I didn't look at the instructions. Put the instructions on the side, and what happens? The thing doesn't look like it's supposed to look on the box. There's extra screws. It's just, and businesses until now didn't really come with instructions. So these are your instructions. And the first thing is you go into business knowing why you're in business. And if that's to earn an extra $1,000 a month, that's fine. Then you structure your business to do that. You implement all the same things. The time management, the focus. It doesn't matter if you're doing $1,000 a month or $1 million. Well, it does matter, in the logistics and stuff. But the concept is still the same. The concept is still the same. McDonald's. All the McDonald's brothers did was they looked at the process and they said, their business was delivering food. And the process was all out of sequence. It was inefficient, which meant it cost more money. They couldn't deliver as many hamburgers. And they created a process. And then Ray Kroc came along and stole it all from them. But that's another story. But the first step in any business is to know why you're in business. And I taught this in the 5-day challenge, which is there's 3 questions you got to answer. What problem do you solve? Who do you solve it for? And how do you solve it? So that's, once you can identify that and you have your why, then you could be on the road to creating your ideal business. And let me define that. When I went into business, when I was 10 years old, and I had an illegal gambling casino in my driveway, and I thought it was easy. I said, I was 10 years old. I said, the sky is the limit. I can make millions and millions of dollars. Now it's billions because millions don't buy as much as it did in 1970. But the point is that in my mind, and maybe most people's minds, starting a business meant getting rich. Nobody started a business just to make an extra couple of bucks. Not as far as I know. Today, things are different. people are more interested in their lifestyle. So there are people that have a job and just want to make a little bit of extra money on the side. Or maybe they work part-time, or whatever the situation is. But there's two facts. Number one, most businesses that start never make any money. They do fail for reasons beyond anybody's control. They're just destined to not make money. And it could be for any reason. You find the wrong location, the wrong product, the wrong time. So there's that fact. And the other fact is I don't even remember. Okay, I'll get to that again. So that's step one, people. Know why you're going into business. Okay. The other situation, or what I call the accidental entrepreneurs, the people that just find themselves in business, and that's not a good place. And until, if you're in that situation, and then you can recognize it, that you don't have a job anymore. The job's gone. You have to get out of the employee mindset and into the business mindset, which is the creative mindset. Now I'm stuck. My back's against the wall, which sometimes helps people rise to the occasion, believe it or not. Sometimes when your back's against the wall and there's nowhere else to go, you have no choice but to look at your situation. And once you can realize that, then you could start running your business with intention. So unless you know what your vacation destination is, you're going to struggle. And pain is inevitable, but struggling is optional. Let me put that another way. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Suffering is what we put ourselves through because sometimes we either don't know or we're too stubborn, because if you're like me, you already know everything. And one of the keys to success is humility. When you can realize that you're not the smartest person in the world and you need somebody else, some guidance and direction, then you got a shot. So let me go into the text now, because I want to bore you with some of the other things that nobody wants to do, but you have to if you really want to run a business. So this is my checklist outline. If you haven't seen it before, if you're part of the challenge, it's in the workbook, in the website with the downloads, and I'm still updating that. So if you were part of the 5-day challenge, if you registered, you can still go to the site. I just sent you an email, as a matter of fact, with the links. And like I said, I'm back and I will be updating all of this stuff. So as you can see, the first thing that I have here are the 3 questions. And most people go into business without ever answering that. And believe it or not, a lot of people go into business and never answer that. And that's not a pretty sight. So let me just scroll down here. And the second thing, or the next first thing, because all of these things are important, all of these things comes first. And that's part of the dilemma of being in business, because everything here is important. And if you skip over something, you're going to pay for it. So I just got a new client today, and he might even be in this meeting. So if you are, I don't want to name your name, keep it confidential, but if you're in here, we talked about this, and this is where we start. We start with, where are you personally today? Forget about the business. First, we got to take an inventory of where you are. And this is a simple balance sheet. And another thing is to not overcomplicate everything. You can use round numbers here. You don't have to go look up the Kelley Blue Book value of your car. But if you have vehicles worth, today they can be worth $50, $60, $80,000. That's an asset. Investments, retirement plans. Let's just get a ballpark figure of where you stand. We can always go into details later. Now, if you look at this, a balance sheet, most people might think of a balance sheet as a business report, and it is. And it is, but we still need a personal balance sheet. And if there's any financial planners out there, or people that have done their own personal financial plan, this is where we all start. And this goes back to, I was actually an insurance guy for a year way back about 35 years ago. And this was the process. It's the same process. We need, what do they call it? It's a financial questionnaire, or whatever they're calling it today. I just call it a balance sheet. And the next step, so that's 2 steps. The next step is to get a handle on your personal financial situation. What I mean by that is your regular monthly nut. What does it cost you to live without the business? What is that number? Because we got to get it down to a number. Like I keep saying, that this is the science of business. There is a definite science to this. And unfortunately, most people don't like this type of science. Because let's face it, unless you're an accountant or an economist or an underwriter, you're not getting excited about numbers like this. The only number you're going to get excited about is that the one at the top of the balance sheet, which is your cash. I understand that. But just like with everything, it's not all a bed of roses. It's not all fun and games. It can't all be marketing. Okay? If you're an accountant and your business is accounting, you can't stick your head in the ground and just be in your office all day. Yeah, accountants like this part of it, but you want to know something? Like, we don't like marketing. I'm an accountant. Not that I didn't like it, I never understood it. So just like, you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone, and you don't have to become an accountant or a bookkeeper, but you do have to know your numbers. Any successful entrepreneur will tell you that they know their numbers. So that's not a coincidence. So the practical side of this, not just knowing what it is, but now if we get into your tax planning, which, yeah, tax planning is a big part of every business, and it's not done once a year. Again, I spoke to my new client today and explained to him that I don't want to talk to you one time a year. If you're opening a business, this is a continuous process. And tax planning is done all throughout the year. It's a continuous 365-day-a-year process. And hopefully, you get to the point where you got tax problems. And I don't mean tax problems where they're coming after you, tax problems where you got to start coming up with those, creative legal tax strategies, like putting money in a retirement plan and sheltering your income, straddling years, and doing all kinds of stuff that they pay me to do. uh, and so from the tax standpoint, from the IRS audit risk standpoint, we need to know what your personal living costs are, because that's what the IRS is going to look at when they first start auditing you. If you ever get audited, they have what they call lifestyle audits. And yeah, they'll go to a marina, believe it or not, and they'll take license numbers of boats. And if you got a $3 million yacht and you're claiming, $40,000 a year in your business income, you're getting audited. Okay. If you're not, it's a miracle. And that's one of the ways that people get audited. So the way that you protect yourself is, let's say we come up with a number, and let's say it's $5,000. Now we know that the business has to produce a net profit of at least $5,000 that you could take out and pay your personal expenses. Now, this is where owning a corporation is a great benefit, because how you take that money out gives us legal tax flexibility in how we distribute that. Now, you can do it in a combination of salary. You could take it as a way of reimbursing yourself for, office in the home expenses, your car, your cell phone, all these things that used to be personal expenses that now we've converted to business write-offs. And then what we do, just as a matter of best practices, we take a check or an electronic transfer out of your business and pay you. And that's the logistics behind this. But you can't have the logistics if you don't have the information. And this information is part of what goes into my audit protection plan. I guarantee people that if you ever get audited from a return that I have prepared and you followed my instructions, I will represent you for free. And I will laugh at the IRS auditor that tries to penetrate our books and records. Because if you do things the right way, and this is why I'm explaining this to you, when you structure your business properly, that fear of the IRS is gone. They're just like another vendor that you have to deal with. They're not the boogeyman. They're just standing in line like everybody else for a piece of what you owe them. And my job as a tax planning strategist is to give them as little piece of that pie as legally possible. Now, I don't care if you're doing a $500 a month business. We still don't want to pay them anything extra, because that $500 a month business might actually be turning into $1,000 a month loss on the books, if you can believe that, and that's possible. And that $500 a month business might become a $5,000 a month business. You don't know that. It's happened. It happens all the time. And if it happens, you don't want to say, oh, I should have done this 3 years ago the right way. Because let me explain something to you here. This is free. All of this stuff that I'm teaching here is free, people. You don't have to pay a consultant. You don't have to pay a CPA, a lawyer. See, you can't buy business success. You have to put in the legwork. And this is part of the legwork, unfortunately. And people out there, unfortunately, don't want to tell people this. They don't want to be the bearer of bad news. You got billions and billions of marketing experts. Why? Because that's what people love. I could easily make myself into a marketing expert because even though I told you that I don't know anything about marketing, what I've learned over the last 10 years, I believe I know more about marketing than 90% of the people out there saying that they're marketing experts. Because just like with everything else in business, there are fundamental things that you need in marketing that marketing experts never explained to me. Before you go out marketing something, you need to have a product, and it's got to be clearly defined, and it's got to be connected with your prospects' desires, not what they want. I'm sorry, not what they need, but you got to package it in a way that they want it. So that is step number 3. You got to do a personal monthly budget. Okay. And again, these are things that you don't have to write a check for, people. And it's not difficult. And most people skip over these simple steps. Okay, number 4, before you start your business, before you start going and spending money that you don't have, which is a mistake that most people do, myself included, let's get a realistic figure on what is this business going to cost me to actually launch. And I bring this up because it's upsetting to me, and I've seen people, and if you're one of them, I'm not trying to point you out or berate you or make you feel bad, but I see people buying $2,500 trademarks at these events. And in 35 years in business, I have seen a couple of people have trademark issues. And they are people that have been in business for a long time and have a big following and have names that caught the attention of national companies that said, oh, you're like, you almost using our name. When you get to that point, you already have attorneys and people that will get you that $2,500 freaking trademark. But somebody that isn't even incorporated doesn't need a trademark. And they don't need a $3,000 website. And they don't need to join a $15,000 a year mastermind group. And these are the things that put people out of business. They're out of business before they even start. I had a potential client last year. I was trying to help her out of a mess that somebody put her into because she bought a $3,000 or $5,000 turnkey business setup, which included what I do and less. I mean, I provide twice as much as what they did. I do it right for $600. And that's not my selling point. The point is that I wouldn't even take in their $600 to, they weren't at that point yet. They didn't even do these first couple of steps. And this is what I see out there, people, and this is what upsets me. And this is why I changed the whole focus of my practice. Yeah, I had big corporate accounts and I let them go because this is, whatever the reason is, I've been compelled to do this, to educate the public. I can't not do this. I can't not talk about these things that I see going on out there that are just wrong. So if you get anything out of today's lesson, if you're watching this, and if you're not watching it, you won't even know that I'm saying this anyway, but you don't have to spend a lot of money ever to start a business. Not the kind of business we're talking about, folks. You don't have to go and get certified to be a freaking life coach. I'm sorry. If you want to be a life coach, start coaching people. You don't need a license for that. If it makes you feel better, then get the license. You know, I just had a client. Let's just say they spent a lot of money on a life coaching program, and it was over 6 figures. And these people will probably never make 6 figures a year in their business. And I don't know what they learned, but I don't see the money coming in. I don't see a return on that investment. And that is a tragedy as far as I'm concerned. So you don't have to spend a lot of money, but you do have to put some thought and effort into this, just like going on your vacation. So when I say business startup cost, let's look at this. My woman is looking to open up a shop, a salon. You know how much money she needs to save just for rent, just to open, just to get in there? Forget about the furniture and fixtures. I mean, to open up a little health spa today, you're talking 30, 40, 50 grand to open up a location. So once that reality sets in, maybe you start your little health spa by going to people's homes, or you invite them to your home. The same way I started my tax business. I didn't go and rent a corner office somewhere. I got a few tax clients and I started doing literally returns on people's kitchen tables. So you got to look at the numbers here. What is it going to cost you? Equipment, a website. You know, people think they need a website to start a business. Well, yeah, if you do need a website, then do a free website yourself and keep it simple. Don't spend $3,000 on a website. Furniture, legal, accounting. Now, what I like to do is take my clients through this and actually show them how they can start a business with very little money up front and maybe create tax write-offs that actually puts money in their pockets before they even have any revenue. Imagine that. Imagine you have a job. You're making $100K a year. You're getting slaughtered on taxes. All of a sudden, you decide to become an Amazon affiliate, and all of these personal expenses now are legally converted to business expenses. Things like your desk, your computer. You need these things to run your Amazon business. So I've actually been able to show people how to take full advantage of those tax write-offs now. You don't have to wait till the end of the year. Because if you're generating, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 in legitimate business write-offs a month, that could equate to 4, 5, 6, $700 extra in your paycheck every month. Did I get your attention yet? Because these are the creative tax strategies that most people don't talk about, because at the sole proprietor level, people, at the solopreneur level, we don't get any respect. And that's the truth. Accountants, lawyers, insurance people, the whole business community, bankers, they hear that you're a solopreneur. Forget about being a sole proprietor. You're a sole proprietor, you might as well just go stand in the corner, okay? Because they look at solopreneurs, sole proprietors as second-class business citizens. So they're not, accountants, CPA firms, they're not going to be bothered spending time and energy teaching somebody opening a little side business how to save money on their taxes. And that's a fact, folks. That's a sad fact. And unfortunately, I could understand that being an accountant, being in business, you don't want to work with people that you have to teach, that don't always have the money to pay you, that are living from week to week. That's not most CPA firms' market. But it is for me now. It is for me because I found a way to structure my business to accommodate the kind of people I want to work with. So think about that. I'm in a really competitive business, and I am now tapping into a market, a large market, that nobody is paying attention to. This This is what business is about, people. This is entrepreneurship. It's about constantly trying to figure out the next better way to do things. And then once we find the best way to do things, you better keep looking for the next better way to do it, because somebody else is going to find it before you. And the beauty is that if you can find the best way to do something that nobody else is doing, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. So the last item that I want to share with you, because we are over time now, and I apologize again if I haven't paid attention to the live Facebook thing. I'm still having issues with that. I haven't figured it out. But if you are live, give me a hashtag live, and the replay, hashtag replay. And if you want to connect with me, before I forget, you can go to Time with Joe. And I want to also mention that one of the ways that I have designed my business to accommodate new business owners is to create Bedrock University. Now, Bedrock University already has a ton of instructions, guides, not just from me, but from some world-class entrepreneurs that will teach you things like how to build a huge Facebook group. Yeah, Haley Gray, my friend with over 65,000 members, shares with us, with you, how to build a Facebook group. And I followed her advice. And guess what? You're in my Facebook group now. We have over 500 members and we're growing. And that's the sort of stuff that you will be able to learn in the university. Now, it's $1 to try it and $97 for lifetime membership. Now, I offered that I'm doing lifetime membership only for the first 100 students, and there's still slots available for that. After that, it's going to be a monthly cost, okay, because we put a lot of time and effort into it. There's a lot of value in there, and a lot of the courses that I put together are up there. And things like new business mastery. I have my friend Mike Wolf, who is a real estate, international real estate expert, and he's the nicest guy in the world, and he teaches us how he went from just being a college graduate with the job to buying his first house to now he teaches people how to do things like buy tax liens and start their own real estate business. That's the kind of content that is in Bedrock University, and I've shared a link to register in the chat box here. So if you're interested, you could try it for $1. And there's a lot of stuff up there now, believe me. There's a lot of content up there now. And every day, I can't say every day, but this is my project for the rest of my life. I'll be adding more content, more what I call architects, more ways for people to start, build, and manage their own business successfully. So the last step, I promised you 5 steps, is now we get to the actual cost of running the business on a monthly basis. Now, this is after you've gotten all the stuff you think you need, your website, your computer, your office furniture, your business cards. What is it going to cost you on a monthly basis? Estimated, because you probably don't have any track record. I'm assuming this is a brand new business. So what are your costs going to be? A lot of my costs are monthly subscriptions for software and things like that. Don't discount that. I use a lot of software. After a while, I found that I had a hodgepodge of different software programs that didn't talk to each other. And again, that goes back to your structure, your processes. So pay attention to the kind of whatever software you're going to need to run your business. Try to go with the try it for free. And software technology there's a cost to that, and you got to factor it all in, and it's always going to be a moving number. So that's it for now for this session of Facebook Live. You can see over here I have another little worksheet, and again, if you're in the challenge, you can download this info, this worksheet, and you can use it as a working model, or you could just take the concepts, whatever you need to do it. It's free, folks. Take advantage of it. Again, this is Joe DiChiara coming to you live from Flushing, New York. I appreciate your time. Thanks for listening. Post your questions in the chat box, and I will get back to you. And go to I'm sorry, timewithjoe.com to book a free chat with me. I would really love to talk to you about starting your own business, and any way it could help you, that's the way to do it. And over and out, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. Thank you, and have a good night.